أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم اللهم صل على سيدنا محمد وعلى آل سيدنا محمد وصحبه وبارك وسلم أما بعد. Brothers and sisters, Jamaat Muslimin, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Alhamdulillah, once again, our thanks to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for having given us the health and strength and of course the opportunity and privilege to once again interact in this Jum'ah talk in the month of Ramadan. Brothers and sisters, we thank Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for having served and serving humanity with a unique civilization. And of course that is the civilization of Islam. A civilization of salam. A civilization of peace. A civilization of caring, of sharing, of the development of empathy. A civilization where we recognize the beauty of just being human. A hidara, a civilization that should humanity as a whole want to embrace it, it will lead to obvious success. And we are acutely aware of this, especially in this month, the month of Ramadan, the month of the Quran, the month where we inform ourselves, or should be informing ourselves, about what is so unique about this divine Kalamullah, this divine Quran. And as Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says to us in the Quran, in Surah Nisa'i, Ya ayyuhan nas, O humanity, not Ya ayyuhal ladhina amanu, but O humanity, qad ja'akumur rasul, that really without a shadow of doubt, there has come to us, there has come to you, in the plural sense, humanity as a whole, a messenger, of course, referring to the Nabi Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. There has come to you a Rasul. Why? And with what? Bil haqq. With the truth. With the haqq. Bi rabbikum. From your Rabb. From your educator. فَآمَنُوا خَيْرًا لَكُمْ. And if you accept it, if you put your trust into it, that is going to be better for you. And of course, we don't just put our trust into something. We investigate it. We look and search for the evidence. And we analyze that evidence. And then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says further, وَإِن تَكْفُرُوا. And if you reject it, if you deny it, فَإِنَّ لِلَّهِ مَا فِي السَّمَاوَاتِ وَالْأَرْضِ. Then know verily that which is in the samawat and the ard, that belongs to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. وَكَانَ اللَّهُ عَلِيمًا حَكِيمًا. And of course, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is the all-knower, the all-wise. Now, brothers and sisters, how do we understand this ayah within the context of the month we are in? On the one hand, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says to us that a Nabi has come to us, a messenger has come to us, and has come to us with the truth from our Rabb, and it's better for us to accept it, put that trust into it. And if we don't, then be sure and know that to Allah belongs what is in the heavens and the earth. In other words, what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is saying to us if you search for the evidence to really come to the conclusion that that which Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam came with is verily the truth. And if that evidence that you accumulate, you unravel, if you then deny that evidence, then verily know that that evidence, what is in that samawat now, it came to make you realize that that evidence is what Allah is giving to us for the development of our intellect. And to substantiate that, we look at the advances of the Muslims in the past, in the arts and the sciences, the golden years, Al-Khwarizmi, Ibn Sina, Haytham, Ibn Rushd, Ibn Arabi. I mean, I can go on and on and on. They took their search to gather the evidence, and up till today, what they did still being used. In other words, that was the basis of their belief. They built up not only that belief structure on the basis of evidence, but also a moral consciousness. Why? Because it was based on Iman, on Taqwa. And of course, once that evidence was suppressed, was denied, was ignored, the decline came into the Muslim world. A decline that is there up till today, the world over. A moral consciousness that today is in decline or totally lacking. And this is the matter of the Quran, where we have to reinvestigate, reinterrogate, revisit our perceptions of the evidence we have gathered by researching what the Quran points us to. That's the month of Ramadan. The ibadah of Sawm. To experience not only the empathy, the sympathy, but also to experience the extraordinary civilizational resources that is there in front of us in the Quran. It's explained by the Sunnah of Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. To reinvigorate ourselves. And more so, that this extraordinary opportunity we have and situation that we are in, we ask ourselves the question, has it or is it busy reawakening the real core humanity in us? Or are we just going through the ritual? Are we starting in our ibadah of the soul in all its aspects? Are we starting to realize the necessity of establishing real value-filled norms as opposed to the false norms where for so long instituted that it led to the cruelty, to the corruption, to the horrendous exploitation? Are we thinking about that? Are we researching the Quran there? The lessons are there. And so are the opportunities to recognize the wonders around us and the privilege we have to engage and enjoying it, especially in this month, the month of Ramadan, the month of the Quran. In this way, to recognize and to defeat our arrogance, our stubbornness, our deceit. As Albert Einstein, we all know him, Albert Einstein said once, there are two ways that you can live your life. Firstly, to live as if everything around you is nothing, so no consequence. Or secondly, to live your life as if everything around you is a miracle. Subhanallah. And is everything around us not creation of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala? And because it is the creation of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, it is a miracle. Why? Because it has been brought into existence, brothers and sisters, from nothing. And even the nothingness, as we teach in the Tawheed, is also the creation of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Whatever nothingness may be, as science would call it, antimatter or dark matter. Just think of it. If you want to make a table or whatever, I have to have the raw materials. I cannot make the raw material. Where does the raw material come from? That is the creation, a true creator. And that is what Einstein was referring to. And that, of course, is what Muhammad brought us, bil-haq, bi-rabbikum, the truth from your Rabb, 1,441 years ago. Excuse me. So, brothers and sisters, this, the month of Ramadan, we go without food and drink and so forth. Just for a few hours. And especially now that Ramadan for us here in the southern hemisphere, it's during winter. The days are short. So a few hours, we go without food and drink. Do we feel a bit weak? Of course. We feel it. Because the sugar levels, the doctors will tell you, certain time of the day, the sugar levels will start to drop and you'll feel a bit weak, out of hunger, so forth. And everybody feels that's fasting. As hunger and thirst does not distinguish between human beings, does not distinguish between the haves and the have-nots. If you're not eating or drinking, that's your natural way, the natural progression to start feeling hungry and weak, so forth. And of course, that hunger that we feel, that's in the ibadah of siyam, of sawm, should that not evoke in us the feelings, experience of empathy? In other words, I don't only sympathize with a person that's hungry over there, I empathize, I'm feeling that pangs, even though it only be for a few hours. And that's only one of the brilliant things of this wonderful divine deen of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. That the brilliance of the deen is in its practicality and in its simplicity. It's not complex. It's not a mind bender. Each and every one, whether from what or which walk of life, can indulge in it. It's there. So just think of it, brothers and sisters. If our bodies, just after a little few hours of without sustenance, feels the pangs of hunger, thirst, and therefore weakness. So how weak must the aql, the mind, be that's been deprived of the Quran and the Sunnah for days on end, for months on end, for years on end. The Quran and the Sunnah, the intellectual sustenance, the intellectual nourishment to develop that reflective thinking, that critical thinking, which forms the basis, the moral consciousness, the salam, peace, togetherness, cooperation on the basis of peace, of helping, coexistence. No wonder when we started to leave the Quran and the Sunnah, when we started to want to implement the Quran and Sunnah the way we wanted, to suit our ways, to suit our greed, to suit our stubbornness, that's when we went and dislocated ourselves. And that's how it came about, that we are only fulfilling the ritual and not the ibadah. And here once again, we are given the opportunity to have the privilege of reassessing ourselves individually and collectively, and to realign ourselves, reboot ourselves. And it is this attitude that can lead to the Ramadan Renaissance, as the Muslims laid the foundation of the Renaissance in medieval Europe. So Ramadan each year, it is the annual Renaissance, the annual rejuvenation, reinvigoration. And here we are. Of course, without such an attitude, the horrific exploitation will continue. We also, as a country today and throughout the world, today, Friday the 1st of May, celebrating Workers' Day. The fact that such a day, Workers' Day, is celebrated is an admission of the exploitation of humanity that has and is happening in this type of class structure society. And that is why we recognize Workers' Day, the exploitation of workers, the toil, the sweat, and they get crumbs. Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, 1441 years ago, said, لا فرق بين عربي وعجمي وأبيض وأسود وأحمر وأحمر إلا بتقوى. There the basis was laid with the exploitation of the people, the proletariat of Makkah, Arabia, how they were exploited, how they were kept in a stupor of superstitiousness, of fear. Muhammad ﷺ came and with the qudra of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala eradicated or laid the basis for the eradication of racism, exploitation, laid the basis for inclusivity instead of exclusivity. Let us remind ourselves of the deen we are following. Let us remind ourselves, especially so in Ramadan, to develop further and grow, of the brilliance of a message we are privileged to have followed, which our parents have brought up into. And it's for us to build on it and take it further and develop. Ramadan, therefore, and the ibadah of Sawm is in fact then the lesson to cancel out this racism, this exploitation, this exclusivity, to cancel out the marginalization of evidence of advancement the Quran gives us due to our stubbornness and whatever. It is there. Should we want to recognize, should we want to learn, and should we want to implement the haqq, the lessons that the haqq is teaching us. Hence the ayah, Ya ayyuhalladhina amanu kutiba alaykum as-siyam kama kutiba ala alladhina min qablikum. Now it comes la'allakum tattaqun. And that la'allakum tattaqun, may you, if you endeavor, persevere in your realignment, reinvigoration, re-recognition of what this Quran is all about, of what it is to be a Muslim, of what it ultimately is to be a human being. If you approach this, if we approach this with that vigor, with that sincerity, Allah says, لَعَلَّكُمْ تَتَّقُونَ, it may your steadfastness, your determination, may that taqwa and iman develop. It is not a given. We can't just go through a ritual and expect to be rewarded. Reward, beloning, that is the prerogative of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala alone. We cannot compel Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. We do it for the sake of serving humanity, for the benefit of humanity, for the sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. May Allah reward us. That's not our prerogative. And in this way, with such an attitude, with such a vision, an inclination, we will then start to discover and understand that this message Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam brought us, this divine message, this Islam, this Deenul Islam, we will start to unearth, to realize the two-dimensional nature of it. And what is it? The prophetic Islam. In other words, the Islam where Muhammad sallallahu as the prophet of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala came to teach us what? Adab, manners, akhlaq, building of character. In other words, what to do, what not to do. Salah, fasting, that's halal, that is not halal, it's haram, and so forth. The Rasul sallallahu alaihi wasallam did not come to teach us how to build an aeroplane, how to do a heart transplant, how to work at a problem in physics or maths. No. That falls into the realm of the second dimension of this message, and that is what we call the cosmological Islam. The development of the cosmic consciousness, relevant to the day and age. The ayahs pertaining to astronomy, biology, geography, physics, this, that, and the other. Look at Surah Rahman, Furqan, Surah Al-Naml, Ankabut, Surah Al-Nahl, Shams, Qamar. Those ayahs, which, by the way, is way more than the ayahs pertaining to the prophetic Islam, meaning the ayahs of fiqh. Only about 250 ayahs pertaining to fiqh. Over 900 to 1,000 ayahs pertains to cosmological Islam. Why? If we understand and appreciate the oneness of the natural manner of the universe that functions, we then see and understand the natural manner of the prophetic Islam, the fiqh, in seamlessly fitting into, in sync with the natural order of the universe. That is the beauty, the brilliance. That we investigate, or should investigate, in the month of Ramadan, especially the month of the Quran. شهر رمضان الذي أنزل فيه القرآن. Why? هدى للناس. It's a guidance for growth. وبينات, and informing us من الهدى والفرقان. What is guidance? And what leads you astray? What you're going to waste your time in? And therefore, does Allah say, لِقَوْمِ يَتَفَكَّرُونَ? This Quran is for people who think and wants to think. In the time of the Abbasids, in the time of Khalifa Abu Ja'far Abdullah al-Ma'mun, the son of Harun al-Rashid, he posed a question to himself, a question which he was walking around for quite the time, and it was really bugging him. And Al-Ma'mun's question was, what is better for the affairs of people, men? Because of course, still a very patriarchal society at that time. What is better for the affairs of men and society? Is it reason or revelation? That was his question that he was wrestling with. And then he had an experience, and he answered himself. And this was the answer he gave to himself about revelation or reason, what is better for humanity. Because remember that time, we had the staunch traditionalists, and of course, the Aqliya, the people, the rationalists. And then he said, they are not in opposition. In other words, reason and revelation is not in opposition. But to find true revelation, humanity, man, must choose reason. Because reason, he said, we figured out, is the doorway to revelation, as we must open our minds and use the intellect to discover the higher truth. And then he made a telling statement at the end of his answer to himself. And he said, that is because to block out ideas is to block out the kingdom of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, mashallah. Beautiful. Beautiful. And this is a lesson for us, especially in this month, the month of Ramadan. So the message today is, use the time we have, and especially in this period where we have the time in our hands, we don't go to work. We don't go here and there. We are locked down. We have the time. Use this time. Do not only recite the Quran, study the Quran. Take a surah. We have the opportunity, brothers and sisters. And we have this privilege to make use of this opportunity. And inshallah, please do. So, let us then not only recite the Quran, as I said, but also perhaps at night, after our family Taraweeh, the nights are long because the days are short. So after the family Taraweeh, whether it's 10 rakats, 8 rakats, 20 rakats, discuss the information in certain surahs. Make it a nice gathering. Tonight we're going to discuss that surah, short surahs. Tonight we're going to tomorrow that one or that ayah. Discuss it. These surahs, especially the surahs pertaining to the wonders of creation, nature, science. And you know, in Juz Amma, it's a lot. It's a lot. Think about it. Discuss Surah Iqra or Surah Alaq. إذا الشمس كورت. Surah Takwir. Look what Allah says in that surah. وَجَوَارِ الْخُنَّسِ الْجَوَارِ الْكُنَّسِ وَاللَّيْلِ إِذَا عَسْعَسَ وَالصُّبْحِ إِذَا تَنَفَّسَ. Discuss perhaps that ayah where Allah speaks about the black holes. Read up on it. Sit together as a family. Turn, as I said last week, turn your house into a university. University coming with universal to study the cosmos, to study creation, to study existence, study meaning. And perhaps inshallah, لَعَلَّكُمْ تَتَّقُونَ, may we in this way approach, and in this way and in this approach, may we instill in ourselves, and especially in our children, and children are so important, the future, may we instill a solid foundation of Islam in its prophetic and cosmological dimensions, inshallah. Brothers and sisters, to end off, may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala accept our tawbah, forgive us our wrongdoings, and may we sustain our attempt at doing good long after Ramadan is gone, inshallah. Shukran. Wassalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.